heard from several of our representatives of our employees that there are employees being hired every single week because some of those employees are revenue offset by grants and so forth. I think in the interest of transparency, we should just say there is a hiring freeze, plain and simple. Any exceptions will be brought before the Board of Supervisors, whether they be 24/7 or revenue offset or so forth. I think it's just going to be easier, and I think it'll build more confidence if we say any exception to the hiring freeze, the CEO's office will bring to the board with recommendations. Thank you.
And that's in place as of right now. That is a policy. Does everybody understand that? Now, don't take a motion.
So there's no need for a motion?
There's no motion for that.
No, it wasn't 24/7 before.
Allison?
An option here. We're already coming back on March 17th with a report out on fully implementing option 1 and the details of option 2 with the planning and building department. So you could give direction. I know it's hard to come up with a number, and it's nice sometimes to have a target, just to have something to aim at. But you could give direction for the sheriff's office and the executive office to work together, come back with whatever would be possible in terms of savings that the sheriff feels are legal and appropriate, and then we would provide you with some options for the balance. And those options for the balance would be in the form of some sort of personnel reductions, and we could bring different options, or you could give us direction now as to anything you want to close out as an option. I mean, a supervisor indicated deal with all departments, don't exclude those under 15. I don't necessarily want you to get into a real detailed discussion. If you want, you can just say, hey, bring us a number of options, and then you'll have a chance to review them and to go through them. The only thing I would ask is don't shoot the messenger. You know, we're going to bring you things that you can look at, but ultimately the decisions do rest with the board. So that might be enough to end this discussion, and then we'd be back on March 17th with the details of what you might vote on.
Supervisor McCallum?
Well, and added to that, I'd like to see some consideration of programs that have been added in the last 5 years. I'd like to see some discussion of services that we're providing that are not mandated. And I think we could also tighten up the travel policy and save additional money there. I think probably we do have more people driving around going to meetings that are not essential in the current environment.
I'm not so sure that, certainly that will be board direction to, I mean, anytime, any department can meet with the CEO's office to come up with budget savings. That's kind of a no-brainer. I'm not so sure this board has to direct the CEO's office to do that. You know, how further do we want to take this process? We need to pair this, you know, Supervisor.
Well, I'd like to ask my colleagues for a number, including the chair. Do you have a number that we could assign to option 1 for the sheriff's office? Is there a percentage of the 900,000? Let's go from there. Let's give some parameters for the executive office to put together a package there, and you know, I'm looking for a number. You know, I've done a lot of lead discussion on this, and it'd be great if someone came up with what percentage should the sheriff absorb of his overruns. He's an administrator, and that's part of the responsibility I think that he has. And so if we could come up with a number, like tell Ms. Glassy it's 40%, it's 60%, it's whatever percent, and then they can get to work and bring us back the specifics, and we can debate the specifics.
Frankly, you know, when we started this process of how to close the budget gap, we started out, I think the total figure was about 42 or 4.2 or 4.5 million. Right. And so to bring this down to $300 or $907,000, actually less, it's a couple of $100,000 less than that with the direction we've get building and planning. So we've come a long ways. I as conservative I am with spending the money in Mendocino County, I feel comfortable at this point in time because we still have 4 months left in this fiscal year to reduce that. And I think with a hiring freeze, really not even a soft hiring freeze, but a hard hiring freeze in place, as now we got clear direction that it'll only take the Board of Supervisors to hire a position. That, and I think there's other things that's going to happen. For instance, in the building and planning, you know, the last quarter was the winter time. Nobody comes in and gets the building and planning permit in the middle of winter, especially in tight budget times. They wait till the last minute before they want to build their garage, before they go pay the fees. So I think there's going to be a considerable bump up in the fees. I'm not saying we're going to go into a boom here in the next quarter, but in the spring, things do happen. Revenues do. So I feel confident that $907,000, what we already have in place, I think it's going to come down. We've already got it this morning. We already got it down a third of that. So I'm not an alarmist at this $907,000 is, you know, a real problem. I really think that the savings that we make this year are going to have to be extended in next year. And the idea of looking into non-mandated programs and all that, to me, that's a no-brainer as we move into the next budget, 9-10. Because, and that's another discussion we need to talk about. I think we need, because they're going to start the budget instructions right away, we need to, for instance, tell the CEO's office and the auditor's office that we want to, as an example, we want to start off on a teeter plan with a zero amount increase. I think that because the interest and penalties the county gets, I think we're going to do better on our teeter plan, not only for the ending of this year, but for next year. So I think there's some positive signs out there. But my main point is this $907,000 deficit we still carry here isn't alarming. It's not like it was when it was $4.5 million. We've come a long ways, and it's credit to my colleagues and departments for bringing it down that far.
It's not alarmist, Supervisor, but it's still, we're still like 900,000 away. I think it's our job that we target that, we meet our responsibilities, and then we could get lucky, or we could be back here looking for another million. We don't know, and so
Supervisor Smith, may I just interject something? Every department that's come here that we've asked to come today, including the sheriff, has said to us they have reduced personnel down to bare bones. I don't know where else you can look other than non-mandated programs that we're paying out of our general fund for. And also the suggestion of Supervisor McCowan to look at the programs in the last 5 years.
I think those are great ideas, Supervisor, but they're not hard numbers. I'm trying to give direction to staff so we get within as close as we possibly can with these predictions, or this has all been for naught. I just think we need to find we need to give direction to identify $900,000, and we're just not doing it.
Well,
all the other things are great. I support every comment that the board has made on non-mandated services, hiring freezes, all those great things that we have been doing. Some of them we will continue to do, and we will implement to a higher degree. We're going to do that, or it's going to carry on indefinitely into the future. But I still think we need to ID the 900,000. If we get ahead and things are going great at the next quarterly report, wow, we can back off some of the things, or we can feel we're better prepared for 09-10. I mean, this is the kind of discussion that took place back in August, and I was just talking and no one else was really listening. Well, but here we are with a worse position than we were in then.
Supervisor McCollum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I think we have identified the number. It is 907,000. We've made, I think, some progress towards that today. I think the direction laid out by Deputy CEO Glassy is appropriate, that they're going to work with the various departments. They're going to come back. I think that if we throw out a number ourselves, we'd just be plucking it out of the air. And I think staff is aware of the overall number they're working with. They're going to, I trust, come back with options that will get us there.
With that, we're going to, I think, this part of the discussion, cut this off. Now, Allison, the budget building team for 9-10, did you want some direction today, or can we continue this?
I would.
You're going to start the budget, 9-10 budget directions. That goes out when? Next.
They will go out next week.
So with no meeting next week, you need some directives from this board today?
It's all options. You've got two options.